And good morning, Kevin. Great to have you here. Michael, hey, Michael, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on video. Dave, good morning, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Lisa, hi, Lisa. Great to have you here this morning. Marcus, hey, Marcus, welcome. Thanks for being here. And Michael Mervine, Michael, good morning. Forte, good morning, Forte, welcome. Debbie, good morning, Debbie, welcome. Halea, hi, Halea, happy Wednesday. Nice to see you here this morning. Thank you for joining us. And Neil, good morning, Neil, welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me get our call started. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Great to have you here this morning on this beautiful Wednesday morning. If you're right-handed, take your right hand. If you're left-handed, take your left hand. Pat yourself on the back. Tell yourself, great job for being here this morning. Type into the chat. Today is a great day. Today is a great day. I'm going to acknowledge you for being here this morning. The fact that you're here right now, listening live or listening or watching the recording is evidence of your commitment to creating even greater results in your life. The only way you could be here is because you chose to be here. So great job for being here. And I'm going to switch it up a little bit. We've been talking about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, all month long. And I want to share with you an insight that I had yesterday that what I'm going to share with you has never been shared before, because it's a combination. Well, I shared it this morning on a call I had by myself. But anyway, the combination that I'm going to speak has never been spoken before, because it's just something that I just was thinking about yesterday. I was like, wow, that's a good idea. I got to share that with my tribe, if you will. So yesterday I started off the day and I wasn't really having the best day. I was getting done what I needed to get done, but I wasn't really in a very good mood. My mindset wasn't very positive. I was doing all the things that I needed to do as far as my appointments and so forth. And I was giving good effort, but I just wasn't really feeling very good. And I was sitting with that, like, what is this about? What's going on? What could I do? How could I shift this? How could I feel better? And I pieced together 4 ideas, and it created a shift in me. And I think I had a breakthrough. I had a breakthrough for yesterday for sure, but I may have created a permanent breakthrough of how to consistently access the zone. So you might have heard that term before in athletics, where a player kind of reaches a different level of performance: 3-point shooting, throwing the football, catching the football, pitching, the batter, hitting the ball, golf, whatever the sport is. There's this idea of like getting in the zone. It's like a flow state. And so here's what I thought about. So you may know, you may not, but it doesn't matter. I used to work for Tony Robbins. I was employed by Tony for 3 years back in the 90s. I started studying him around 1990, right around there. And I worked for him from 96 to 98. And so I was immersed in his ideas for about 10 years. And I learned a lot from Tony. So Tony is all about state. If you ever have been to his seminars, you know, he's always got people jumping up and down. And why are people jumping up and down and exerting that energy? It's all about peak state. So that's what he would probably say is the key, is all about peak state. And then my coach this year, who I've worked with, his name is Steve Hardison. And Steve is all about being. state of being. So his idea about life, you want to create increased results, it's all about your state of being. Who are you being? Who could you be? And one of his core philosophical ideas about learning how to shift who you're being. Really very profound ideas. Then there's this gentleman, his name is Shawn Achor. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. And Shawn got on my radar because one of my colleagues at Tony Robbins works with Shawn. So this is Shawn here. And here's his quote on his homepage: "Happiness is the joy you feel moving towards your potential." So Shawn has one of the most watched TED Talks ever. It's a little 12-minute TED Talk. You guys can find it by doing a search online for Shawn Achor, ACHOR, TED Talk, and you'll find it. A little 12-minute video. And this is Shawn's website, and it's pretty cool. Here he's got an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and the video is on his website. He's got an interview with Brene Brown. You know, those are two of the biggest names out there. Here's his book, Big Potential. His book's on Kindle, or Kindle and Audible. If you like Audible, you can get his book, Shawn Achor. So if Shawn was on here right now, I'm assuming he would say it's all about happiness, because he's the happiness guy, right? So when I was introduced to Shawn's ideas, like, okay, happiness, I don't know, wasn't really landing with me. Wasn't quite understanding where he was coming from. So there's Shawn Achor. And then there's my pastor. And he's a really amazing human being. His name is Ray Johnston. And Hope Quotient is his book. Let me see if I can pull that up online here. Yeah, here's his book here. It's called The Hope Quotient by Ray Johnston. I think you can get that on Audible too. And anyway, that's a really great book. And so Ray, it's not like this is his main idea, but one time in church, I heard him talk about the number one job of a leader is to stay encouraged. The number one job of a leader is to stay encouraged. And that quote landed with me, right? Like certain quotes, you might have had this experience too, where you have these certain ideas and they just land with you, right? And that one just stuck with me. Number one job of leaders is to stay encouraged. So we've got 4 different ideas here. Tony Robbins talks about state. Steve Hardison talks about being. Shawn Achor talks about happiness. Ray Johnston, among other things, talks about encouragement. In my brain yesterday, as I was processing what I was experiencing, I thought somehow these 4 ideas came into my mind. And I thought, you know, maybe they're all saying the same thing. Maybe they're saying the same thing, just, you know, of course, from their perspective. Because the state that we're in, right? You've probably heard the expression state of being, right? Happiness is a state. Encouragement is a state. And so if Shawn Achor's teaching, you know, hey, if you focus on happiness, you're going to perform better, is, I'm assuming, one of his theories. Well, happiness is a state of being. Encouragement is a state of being. Fear is a state of being. Anger is a state of being. And I didn't look at this year. I had a great year, but when I look back on the year, I didn't look at the year through the lens of happiness or encouragement. You know, there was times I just accessed self-discipline and I just power through getting something done. And maybe I wasn't in a real positive state, but I still got it done. right? I'll talk about, separating feeling from action, taking action, whether you feel like it or not. You people like you and I, we might use the term, or you've heard the term, grind. I'm going to grind it out. I was talking to a client the other day, and he was talking about, I'm just going to grind and make it happen. And we were exploring that idea. And then as I was reflecting on yesterday, what shifted me is I started focusing on a more positive state. I started focusing on, how could I feel different? What would have me feeling better? And so I was just kind of formulating the connection in my mind that these four people that I respect, from their viewpoint, where they're coming from, and these are big time producers: Tony Robbins, Steve Hardison, Sean Aker, Ray Johnston. I mean, these are like super achievers with what they've done in their lives, and I've studied people like them for decades. And I'm interested in that, right? This month we focused on Napoleon Hill. I'm interested in Napoleon Hill's ideas, but I just made the connection that maybe these four ideas, it's all saying the same thing, which got me to think about 2023 and focusing on happiness, which I've never focused on before. I never strive for that to be an outcome. I've worked on encouragement. I am an encourager, but I've never really had it in the forefront of my mind about, hey, Eric, go out and make your day about your state, who you're being, your happiness level, your encouragement, and putting that at the forefront of my decision-making, the forefront of my focus. So the takeaway for today: observe what impacts your state of being. So what shifts your mood? What triggers you? What puts you in a state where you're motivated? What demotivates you? What if you're demotivated by other people's actions, which is something you have no control over? And what if you shifted that? What if there was a way you could shift that, where you were motivated no matter what anybody else was doing? That's a big part of what I'm learning from Steve Hardison. He in his own way, he's basically saying, Eric, stay in your lane and don't pay attention to what other people are doing in other lanes. It's not about what they're doing. It's about what you're doing, Eric. It's not about what your wife's doing, Eric. It's about what you're doing. It's not about what your staff's doing, Eric. It's about what you're doing. It's not about what's happening in the economy, Eric. It's about what you're doing, which is a different way of thinking. Learn how to shift your state of being. How do you go from being in an angry place to being loving? Like, snap your fingers and you can go from angry to loving as a possibility. The GPS is your mind. So if you put in your phone, how do I get to 127 Main Street, Roseville, California, and you type that into your phone, in the GPS, your phone's going to tell you how to get there. Well, you have a GPS that's called your mind. And what you're doing is you're giving your mind instructions with language. So in a coaching call, somebody will say to me, I know what I need to do, but I can't get myself to do it. Think about that. You tell your brain, instead of going to 127 Main Street, Roseville, California, you tell your brain, I know what I need to do, but I can't get myself to do it. So what's your brain going to do? Your brain's going to go, I know what I need to do, but I can't get myself to do it, Eric. I can't get myself to do it. Why? Because you said so. You created that through language. My marriage isn't working. You're telling your GPS that your marriage isn't working. So then what is your GPS going to do? Make your marriage not work. I'm not good with money. You just told your brain 127 Main Street, Roseville, California, but you said, I'm not good with money. I'm not good at closing. I'm not good on social media. I'm inconsistent. I don't follow through on my goals and commitments. I know for my New Year's resolutions, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 weeks and then I'm going to stop going. And you literally tell your brain, go to the gym for 2 weeks and stop going. So I just want you to sit with this idea. Sit with the idea of state of being, peak state, Tony Robbins, being Steve Hardison, happiness, Sean Aker, encouragement, Ray Johnston. And what if they're all saying the same thing from their own perspective? If you sit with this idea, I think you might experience a breakthrough. I think it might help guide you into what to focus on for next year. Focusing on staying positive, the state that you're in, being loving, being service. And this may unlock something for you. This message I just shared, it's possible it could be the most important personal development message you've ever heard. Because I think I had a breakthrough yesterday. Now, I had a breakthrough for the day, but I think it's going to be for all of next year. It wouldn't surprise me if I showed up differently from what I'm teaching you right now. This is like hot off the press, guys. Like, this is just like fresh. It's not even 24 hours old, this idea. Anyway, that's the talk for today, guys. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Your plans are due if you're submitting your plan to me by Saturday at midnight. Well, a minute before midnight. Email it to eric@ericlofholm.com for a letter grade of A. I know some of you have already done that. If you got something out of today's call, type the word yes in the chat. If you got something out of today's call today, type the word yes in the chat. Thank you for joining me this morning. Let's have a fantastic Wednesday. A great end of the year. A lot of you got something out of class today. That's awesome. I'm glad that you did. And you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.